RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right. What is up? Okay, let me know how it sounds. In a minute, I'll hear, I guess. I could test it. Let me say hello. It sounds okay. I can hear myself breathing. There's a 10-second delay. All right. Guys, sorry for the delay. Jesus Christ. I tried to do a show this week. I couldn't do one. Every day I had a schedule problem. I had to do a thing, you know, I work like as a freelancer, So I can't say no to things that come in. And then what happened? I was up until 5 a.m. Let's put it that way. This morning doing a video for somebody. It was paying me money to do it, though. And they needed it. So I couldn't do a show. And I'm exhausted. I'm a little loopy. But I think that'll make for a good show. And we have some good topics, I think. And it's been a while. I hate missing the Wednesday show or the weekday show. It makes me feel very out of it. So how does it sound? It sounds good? Okay. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, Jim, for your super chat. This sounds just weird in my headset, but you can't hear it. All right. Thank you. I just want to, before I begin, of course, I have to thank Charlie from APS Radio News. As always, geez, Charlie, you're amazing. Your generosity and your compassion and humanitarianism, your care. I don't even know what the hell is the word. For the community cats is really appreciated. And your particular love of Boudica. I got your little donation for Booty Boo. I was thinking maybe I should get her a little charm, and I'll put your name on it, Charlie. Put it on Boudica's collar. Because you really, I think, like me, she has a special place in your heart. I mean, like Boudica, I know I have a special place in your heart too, but I know that Boudica also has a special place in all our hearts. So thank you so much, Charlie from APS Radio News, for keeping the show going and growing, keeping me, what's the word? Not despondent, I guess. Feeling like not 100% alone in the world and in this thing. And I know I'm not, but that's what goes on in my head when I'm screaming in the middle of the night. But I don't even know. I can't do it without you and all you guys in the chat. Let me see. I'm reading Jonathan's what's asking me about my outfit. It's a t-shirt, a Susie and the Banshees t-shirt, like I always wear, a t-shirt and some, sweatpants. Yes, we had an earthquake today. Also, if you can become a patron, that will help. Patreon.com/TaraDevlin. Don't leave Charlie to do all the heavy lifting from APS Radio News. And also, let me tell you, Charlie has some other independent media voices over at his platform, and he curates them. And I am proud to be a part of it because he's got high standards. I appreciate that. So do I. That's why everything drives me insane living in this country. And yes, let's just start with the earthquake. There was an earthquake in New York. I live in New York, you guys know. And so this morning, I like I said, I went to bed at like 5 a.m. I woke up at 10, which is late for me. Usually, I wake up very early. I wake up like 7, 8. And then I like to go to the gym. Okay, people? It's got my brain. It's for my brain, really, more than my body. You know what I mean? So, what else? So yeah, I was sitting, at this computer, and everything started to shake. At first, I thought it was a truck coming down the street, because sometimes when trucks roll by, things get a little shaky. and it only increased and built, and then the whole damn house was shaking, and it was a little bit concerning. For this, I realize this is an earthquake, but how weird, right? We're earthquake in New York. We're not on a fault. We're not like in California, but as soon as it happened, I said to, I started texting my sister and my aunt and other friends of mine who live in the area, and in fact, Robin reached out, Robin Kincaid from Head On Radio, say, hey, I heard there was an earthquake. How you doing? And we started discussing how long it's going to take until Republicans start blaming the earthquake on, lesbians or liberals or something, something stupid, something from their demon-haunted hellhole of a mind. I say a minds because they really are like the Borg. One collective consciousness that is pretty much unconscious and never changing. That's the way it is with Republicans. Their motto should be what was I? I'm a little tired. I'm trying to read your text over here, and what was I saying? Yes, their motto should be that they never, I don't know, I had it in my mind, it flew out of my head as the words were coming out of my mouth. That's how tired I am. But anyway, the thing is, being a Republican means never saying sorry, never evolving, never changing, and that's really what they think is the American birthright. Forget having a decent middle-class life. Forget healthcare, universal healthcare. That's one of the real missions of my life, frankly, to finally, obviously, I'm getting older every damn day, as we all are, if we're fortunate to continue waking up. And I hope to live in a country one day that has healthcare as a right of citizenship, not a privilege of wealth. But sometimes I think, God help us with these Republicans standing in the way, standing athwart history, yelling stop. I don't know, if that's going to it won't happen when they're squatting in the halls of power, despite receiving fewer votes, because they do nothing. And they do worse than nothing, frankly. Actually, when the words came out of my mouth, I thought, wow, I wish they only did nothing. It would be an improvement for them to simply do nothing. But they're adding, they're hurting us. They're dragging us back. It's like, just do nothing. Just shut up. Just sit on your hands and do nothing. Stop trying to drag us back to history's trash bin where you live. And I don't know when they'll ever get embarrassed for themselves, I wonder. Because, this is 2024. I almost said, it's almost 2025. I'm thinking about my niece's wedding that's coming up in 2025. And it's, you're still blaming natural disasters on the giant cloud being. You really have a very sick cloud being. And frankly, he's only a gigantic version of your own very sad and sick selves. It's ridiculous. Don't you have any self-respect? Now, as I was saying, it didn't take long. I was not disappointed. It was not unexpected for Republicans to come out and blame everything on liberals or whatever. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, what we like to call her Perjury Traitor Greene, because she committed perjury. She's really a piece of work, this lady. We have video of her on the stand, of course, committing perjury. And what else? Yes, she's a traitor, of course. And I guess her last name is Greene still, even though she's a serial adulterer and divorced. Now, her husband's name was Greene. And she's in a relationship. Of course, she announced this relationship after her. It was sort of like, there was no time between her divorce and her announcing this wonderful relationship, but clearly she was cheating on her husband, as she does. And her husband finally got, I guess, some self-respect and decided, this is it, I'm going to divorce you, because in the land of Perjury Traitor Greene, before she was Perjury Traitor Greene and she was just some tedious gym rat who hung out at the gym. That's what she did. She did CrossFit every day. And if you go back in her social media history, she posted nothing about politics. She had no interest in politics until she fell down a Q hole around the time that the traitor Trump, their new messiah, decided to pretend to be a politician because he was really looking for a grift, his latest grift. He's failed at every other grift. He's failing at this grift. He really is. But sadly, he has an entire party of cowards propping him up. Cowards and traitors and people like Perjury Traitor Greene, who is a very sick woman herself. And I believe she's like one of the true believers. Some of them they're like Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch McConnell. He's a cynical traitor. He's been lamed and named the gravedigger of American democracy by historian Christopher Browning. World War II historian Christopher Browning calls him the gravedigger of American democracy. And he is. And he recently endorsed Trump. He hates Trump, by the way, like most people do, normal people. In fact, now that I'm saying this, in my mind, I'm hearing sometimes the right-wingers they'll find their way on this channel and they'll post something like, what is it? Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. They'll just put TDS, just like the some of the morons who stumble into here while we're doing the show live will say Trump 2024, right? Like in the past, they used to say Trump 2020. That's that's what they say because they got nothing in their heads. And it's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's called having eyes, having a brain, having a sense of decency and self-respect and respect for other human beings. So it's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's a patriotic imperative, frankly. And we can measure someone simply by the way that they view this horrible person, Donald F. Trump. If you think he's your savior and he's some kind of gift from baby Jesus who was, I don't know, he's now being persecuted by government. Oh, and he's indicted for you. When I'm indicted for you, so you don't be. Well, if you use your money to silence if you use campaign funds to silence try to silence a porn star after you committed adultery with this porn star while your wife was home recovering from childbirth, and you didn't want to get that into the campaign because another vile video of you came out where you were saying that you like to sexually assault women, then I guess you'll be indicted too. So it's not like he's an innocent victim. It doesn't matter. Why am I even explaining it to them? Right? So it's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's called being a normal person. Being, somebody who doesn't hate this country and doesn't hate other Americans. That's the other thing. So what we're going to talk about tonight, wanted to get into Perjury Traitor Greene, of course, the bats flying out of the belfry, telling us that the earthquake is God's demand of us, I guess, to repent. Why don't you clean up your own side of the street, Perjury? You're the one committing serial adultery. Not once, not twice, but thrice. That's what we know of, what was reported. Because when she became a politician, the free press, the press, the only profession enshrined in the Constitution as being necessary for a functioning democracy, went and dug into her background. And they found that she's not a political person, ever. She was not a political person. She's a mediocre student. She went to college. She went to whatever college. It doesn't matter because she didn't go to work after. And her family put her on their business documents for their business. They have a business, construction business. And she doesn't work there. She receives a dole from the business. That's what she did. That's why she could go to the gym every single day and spend 8 hours in the gym all day and commit adultery with various men, one being the owner of the gym, another being one of the other people that, I think it was a personal trainer there, but he was also a tantric sex guru or something. And they went to interview him, this guy, and he seems like a pretty decent man. And because I looked at his Instagram, he's an interesting character. He's into meditation and all this new age stuff, it seemed. And they asked him about, a statement about Perjury Traitor Greene. And he said, I don't want to think about that woman. She destroys everything she touches, something like that. And can you imagine? That's what she did. Yeah, that's what happens when Perjury Traitor Greene wiggles her way into your affections. Poor guy, really. But he seems happy now. In his Instagram page, he looked like he had another girl who's not Perjury Traitor Greene. And he just looked like a decent guy. And in his Instagram, he seems kind of like new age, like I'm saying. He's like smoking pot or I don't know if he was smoking it, but he was like showing it off. It's been a while since I went on that page. But, talking about like different new age whatevers to get your chakras aligned. I don't know. What the hell do I know about chakras? So that's Perjury Traitor Greene, but she's, it's like Trump lecturing us on the Bible, right? The Bible's very personal. What's your favorite part of the Bible? It's very personal. I don't want to talk about it. Are you a New Testament or Old Testament guy? Equal. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to believe this person, to not see right through it? That is what is so fascinating about living in these times. It's also frustrating and it's very depressing sometimes, but it's really unfathomable how anybody falls for this. It's ridiculous. It's like watching somebody on 14th Street doing the shell game or something, come on, huh? Come on, buddy. You're not going to win. That's a scam. That's how I feel with Trump and these idiots. But they're apparently with his Truth Social thing. For a second, he was a billionaire. You know, he's not as rich as he says he is. That's why he doesn't want to release his taxes. And we know that when for the years that we have of his taxes, he actually received more money from us than he paid, millions, you know, because he lost more money than every other American taxpayer. He is the biggest loser. Literally and figuratively. I mean, Boudica. She just knocked over a chair. Sorry about that. Booty. And then she runs. You better hide from that chair. She's crazy. She's a crazy kid. I hope, whatever. Booty, you okay, honey? She's fine. She knocked over a chair. She likes jumping on this chair. You know, I'm a Buddhist, right? And I have my Gohanzen over there, and there's a chair there, and she has a tendency to jump on the goddamn chair and knock everything over, so she loves that chair. Okay, whatever. Let's get back to work. So, yeah, where is it? Perjury Traitor Greene urges Americans to repent. You first, honey. Right? In Bonker's earthquake prophecy, this is from the Daily Beast. It's a sign, she says. A New Jersey earthquake and a solar eclipse. Oh my God. She's losing her shit at the same time. Now, we don't live in the Dark Ages. Really, we don't. Maybe they do. They live clearly in some very twisted version of life that they think they're so, I don't know, they love freedom so much they want everybody else to live in that very twisted, sad, ugly, divisive, angry, hateful, frightened little world that they live in. And once we do, I guess it'll be utopia. The beatings will continue until morale improves. That's another Republican. That should be the Republican, moniker or whatever. Not moniker. That's means one name or, motto. I had like 5 hours sleep. Give me a break here, guys. And I'm sitting in this chair so long, I have to say, my freaking ass is killing me. I got to get away from this computer soon. But not that I don't want to be here. I really do. I love you guys. And I love doing the show. It's a lot of fun, and I love seeing you. I love Jim and Twisted Nerves Painting and Kathy and Haiku and Mark. Mark, nice to see you, Mark. And all the other wonderful people. Jonathan, with all his questions about my wardrobe. And everybody else who's here that aren't used to piping in. Come and join us over at youtube.com/cfachannel/Tarabuster. And meet us. Meet us and greet us. Okay, so, where is it? This freaking thing isn't loading. Hold on. She joins a long line of a long history. It's not a very, very proud history, but it is a history nonetheless of very sick people trying to explain away the world through their sick version of God. The wrath of God. Why don't you take your own advice? These people, this is what is so it's so tedious about sharing the same air with them, is that they always tell us how Christian they are. Well, why don't they show us? We never see how Christian they are, though. We only hear it. We hear how Christian they are when they're using their religion as a cudgel to beat people with, to divide people. never to unite, never to shed light on anything or to bring humanity to the situation or compassion. It's always about who's gonna go to hell, who's on the outs with them, right? Who's not worthy of the love of God. Whatever. Yeah, they have a very sick version of God. It's nothing but a giant iteration of themselves. It's their mirror, where onto which they project all their manias, all their bullshit, and their excuses. It's not me being a hateful bigot. It's my Sky Spook. Well, if you have a Sky Spook that is a hateful bigot, you're a very sad person. And you have a very small Sky Spook. It doesn't make any sense to me that you have a Sky Spook, or let's be nice, they have a deity. They have a lord. My lord. Lord. This is a fucking democracy. Lord. Okay, but anyway, that's another, they want to project. They don't want to do any work. They just want to pray to the Lord. Lord, please bestow this. Please take away climate change. Come back down and do everything. Do climate change. Fix that. Fix it. Right? We don't want to do any work. Get rid of all the people that make us uncomfortable. And yeah, just do it for us. That's the party of personal responsibility. That's what you're asking for. They don't want to get off their ass. That's too much work. It's like going to work in government. Perjury Traitor Greene. She doesn't want to be a congresswoman. She just likes the trappings of the job. She likes getting on TV. She likes doing her podcast. She likes all the attention she gets. She likes playing the victim. That's it. She doesn't want to do the job. It's that none of them do. They're there to put on a show for the Fox News audience. That's it. They're not there to ensure that people don't have to needlessly die without health care. They like when people needlessly die without health care. That's why they want to put that goddamn orange goddamn con man back in the White House despite receiving fewer votes. They want to ensure, what do you want? Another million Americans dead? You want that? They like that. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? They really have balls using that saying, dragging that back up, digging that back up. They should be embarrassed. Where you were 4 years ago? You mean when there were refrigerated morgues on the side of the street here in Queens? There were so many corpses that there were refrigerated friggin' morgues. They turned trailers into morgues. Oh yeah, I love great. Were you better off? You were better off 5 years ago, when we didn't have a goddamn Trump squatting in the White House despite receiving fewer votes. But none of us have been better off since that maggot, that parasite, that prolific parasite decided to focus his lifelong crime spree, his lifelong search for the perfect grift, since he decided to turn all of his low cunning and greed-centered, rapacious need for money and attention on our political system. None of us have been better off. Can you make that case? Yeah, we can. Think about that. Since we've had to endure this carnival barker of demons, who's been better off? We got to live in a world in this country where we can't even agree on basic facts, right? Truth. facts have a liberal bias. The fact that they're calling these traitors who stormed the Capitol, calling them political prisoners and whatever else, hostages, is an offense. Is a goddamn offense. And anybody who thinks that way and believes that way is a traitor. Really, you're a traitor, and that's what they are. Though they can't help it. In every Republican heart, and every Republican chest, excuse me. Let me say it again. In every Republican chest beats the heart of fascism. It's the truth. They're not a pro-democracy, small d democracy party, as we see. Know them by their fruits. Just like they're not Christians. They're not pro-America. So, I know, Mark C. on the chat says, I see that Fox News was losing their shit today with the relative good news about jobs and unemployment. Of course. That's why they you notice how they stopped talking about gas prices, but they still talk about inflation. They're like, inflation, because they want to. Here's the thing. My thoughts are all getting. There's like a race for words to come out of my mouth, but you notice what is driving me insane is that of course the corporate media keeps saying that all this great economic news, it's not breaking through, and people still feel that everything sucks, and they're not breaking through, and Biden's not getting the credit. Why? I wonder why. Why? I could tell you why. Because of the goddamn right-wing propaganda channels. That's why. Because of Fox News. What are you kidding me? It's so infuriating watching well-educated and informed people like the pundits on the so-called liberal media be completely perplexed why people are not resonating with reality, why reality isn't hitting them in the face, like that they're saying how, oh well, all these good news, all the jobs report, but yet people still think that the economy is sucks. But when you ask them personally how they're doing, they say, well, we're doing fine, but everything sucks, basically. But why is this? Why? You know why? Because people are easily led. They're propagandized. That's why every autocrat in history took over media in some form. They told the story. You have to tell the story. And if you keep telling people, if half the country, these idiots, they watch Fox News because it's their cult. It's part of the cult. You can't watch anything else, or you're going to be put out of the cult. That's it. If anybody walked in and they're watching CNN, they can't. These people, they don't want to be the outsider, in this rugged individual party. Yeah, they're all a bunch of rugged individuals. But just try being a rugged individual in the Republican Party. Do me a favor. If you're a Republican and you're listening, I know you're there because I get your stupid emails. Do me a favor. Turn on CNN. Ask all your friends to come over. Oh, well, just have it on when they come over. Or, I don't know, say something about Trump. Well, maybe it wasn't good that he inflated the size of his apartment when he wanted a loan and deflated it when he paid his taxes. Or, what about the fact that he didn't pay taxes for years? He paid when he was the biggest loser, and one year he paid $750 in federal taxes. Come on, what about that? Oh, and how about him being adjudicated a rapist? What about that? can it be that it just pose the question? How is it that everyone is picking on him? The whole country. Everyone who, whenever his life of crime, the consequences for his crimes catch up to him, everyone is picking on him, right? You know, how do you just pose the question? Do you really think it's that a president should have classified documents in the shitter? And do you really think that the Presidential Records Act, and a law that was written specifically because of Nixon, who is basically everything that Trump is saying about the Presidential Records Act, of course, is the exact opposite. He's saying, I have a Presidential Records Act. I can do whatever I want with those records. I can just say, though, that you see that those nuclear secrets from that of America, that our deepest secrets, that for your eyes only type secrets, I hereby claim them as my personal property. In what world would that even exist? Right? And what successful country would behave like that with some kind of douchebag? Like everybody, we're a nation of laws except one douchebag? Except one friggin' con man. Please. So, yeah, and just try being a rugged individual. Ask them. Yeah, don't you think it's a kind of weird that 61 courts laughed this whole stolen election bullshit out of court, and how, for a witch hunt, for the Russian hoax, for a hoax and a witch hunt, a lot of people went to jail for a hoax and a witch hunt. And, what they say is that everybody's corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. The FBI's corrupt. Everyone's crooked. Except the most filthy, greed-centered ghoul that ever walked the planet. That was, what did we do in a past life, collectively, to deserve that parasite latched on us, sucking the life out of our body politic? What did we do? And the other question is, how much longer are we going to take it? How much longer? Aren't you sick of it? Sick of this con man, this disgusting turd, this disgusting orange grifter, just, being able to get away with everything. Well, they put a gag order on him, and 5 minutes later he's defying it. But there are no consequences. Gee, I didn't know. It's like rules for the rest of us, except for him? That asshole? That horrible person. Okay. Yeah, those are the questions for the ages, really. But, and speaking of horrible people, Perjury Traitor Greene, right? Well, let's get back. They're all horrible. That's probably a theme for tonight, because what I want to talk about is that horrible person, Perjury Traitor Greene, and then Lauren banned from the bowling alley, Boebert, who, she's always good for for a nice conversation. She apparently, speaking of party of personal responsibility, she got drunk, apparently. We'll talk about it. And when she said something about it, or whatever, she came clean. It was like after, when she was caught jerking her boyfriend off on their supposedly first date. Either way, she looks like, she don't look too Christian, right? Cheating on her husband. She's either cheating on her husband or fornicating with somebody she barely knows. Either way, it doesn't look good. So she chose the fornicating with some virtual stranger who she took to a play and around all the public that she pretends to represent, including children. allowed this virtual stranger to feel her up while she, did something to him in the... Yeah, that's your Christian, but they're all Christian, you see? Christianity for thee, but not for me, and not in practice, at least. That's the way they roll. They use religion as a cudgel. But anyway, so Perjury Traitor Greene, we'll get to it. She's when it came out that she was drunk at some event, at some Republican event. Of course, she's drunk. She's a wreck. She needs to quit Congress and go take care of her shit. Go take care of her sons that are out there committing crimes. Talk about the Biden crime family. How dare you? I guess God had another plan for her when she tweeted about the Biden crime family. About an hour later, it came out that her son had been committing crimes all over her district, including robbing the last $15 of a woman that was, I think, fighting cancer. This is who they are. That's your Christians, right? Your family values. But anyway, when she get to the point, Devlin, when it came out that she was drunk at this GOP event, she put out a statement saying she was overserved. She was overserved. You see, it wasn't her fault. It never is. She was overserved. She had, they were... I didn't rape her. Look at her dress. Look at the skirt. I was overserved. Why don't you say no? Why don't you pray? Pray to your Jesus. Overserved. Come on, honey. You're an adult. You're a goddamn grandmother. That's the kind of example these people set for the younger generation. Remember how we had to endure the Clinton years? Remember? I mean, we endured them for many reasons. I endured them for realizing that, of course, Bill Clinton was not a progressive that I hoped he would be. And that was my eternal frustration with Democrats for my entire life. They all talk a good game on the stump, and then they turn into Trickle-Down Junior. And same thing with Obama, of course. And much to my surprise and my delight, I have to say, Joe Biden has been the exact opposite, where I've expected him to be incredibly conservative, but he's following in the footsteps of some of our great liberal and progressive Democratic presidents, like Lyndon Johnson, FDR. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. I wish it was. I wish it was faster, of course, and I wish he would endorse universal health care and all this. But the way I look at it at this point, because he's doing, he is what he will. Okay, what am I trying to say? He will, I believe, in history, he will be treated with great accolades in history, that history will recall him fondly. And he's going to look better as the years go by, and especially when he gets a second term. And God help us, Sky Spook help us, that we give him, that we overcome Republican gerrymandering, voter suppression, kicking people off the voter rolls, preventing people from voting, their bullshit, dirty tricks with the Electoral College and all this other shit. That God, Sky Spook, help us that we give him a Democratic Congress, a Senate, and a House of Representatives, and that we can really get some shit done. And I believe he will. Because I really do think that Joe Biden has seen the light of Reaganomics. That we're in the aftermath, right? Nothing's trickling, boobies. We know that. How much longer would we have to beg and wait for it to trickle? And besides the point, who waits for a trickle? Okay? How much do you have to hate yourself to simply accept a trickle? When you're thirsty and you need a drink of water, if you're Boebert, you'll be maybe overserved, but the rest of us, we begging for a trickle. Oh, no, I don't need a glass. I don't need enough to actually quench my thirst. Just a trickle. I mean, no one ever says that. No one ever talks about that, except me, of course, and us. Because it's learned helplessness. Trickle down. The corporate media, the pundits never bring it up. Like, God, how much self-esteem, how much low self-esteem, how low is your self-esteem that you accept a trickle? That you say, give me you know what, another 30 years for a trickle? So you could sit there and be like, it will never quench your thirst. It's nothing. You can't take a bath. You can't share it. You can't even quench your thirst. You'll be dead. The trickle kills you. You ever see the old, movies? You never see somebody lost in the desert like, trickle, please, trickle. Right? It's unbelievable how we've learned to hate ourselves and, how they've gotten away with it. Well, they've gotten away with it because of all the bullshit, of course, divide and conquer, especially along racial lines, and all this bullshit about billionaires. We just had another thing there, something that came out about how many billionaires there are on Earth, but there's never a conversation about what the fuck. Why do we need billionaires? We don't. And so a billionaire, these handful of billionaires should take precedence over the rest of us. So we don't have to have a decent infrastructure, living wages, retirement security, a society that works for everybody. Because one dude, a handful of dudes, mostly dudes, need $1 billion. Now that is a sick-ass society. That really is. And that's a society that is ripe for the likes of Perjury Traitor Greene and Donald F. and Trump, like all these losers who hate this country. They're nothing but parasites feeding on the sickness of the body politic, making it sick, exploiting the sickness. It's like it's like they're like, I don't know, that's what Donald Trump has done his whole life, even though, like, with the casino, I mean, what the fuck has he done? Tickling people's addictions. He couldn't even do that well. He sucks. All right, yeah, okay. That's my scintillating political assessment of him. He sucks. And to say he sucks would be really a promotion. He's worse than suck. It's like the rest of the Republican Party. What do they do? What have they accomplished in this Congress, let's say? Why, in spite of them, Joe Biden is doing great work. The unemployment, infrastructure, manufacturing is returned to this country. Yes, and the other thing, what's going on in Gaza, I believe that, of course the corporate media is like, well, people vote for him. Good luck with Donald F. and Trump. With Gaza, at least Joe Biden doesn't want to see people dead. At least he has a heart. And, to me, I think there's only so much we can do to force somebody, a foreign country, to do what we want them to do. And at this point, I do believe that Joe Biden will finally, hopefully, pull the plug and get more forceful with the funding and whatnot and the military aid to stop the goddamn massacre in Gaza. At this point, it's beyond, because when this first happened on October 7th, whatever. I'm not a pacifist, of course. I was in the military myself, and you can't live next door to people that can run in and grab you and kidnap you. And I mean, this is a war crime as old as the Iliad. And so something has to be done. But what Bibi Netanyahu has done is not correct. He's another example of the fact that he's not a Republican, he's conservatives, right-wingers, they make everything worse. What would work is some compassion in Gaza. When you give someone hope, they don't want to be terrorists. Who the fuck wants to be a terrorist? Right? You want to have a life. You want to go to college. You want to go on a beach with your friends. You want to, you give people when there's no hope, then that's when you get, when this shit happens. Well, anyway, whatever. That part of the world is not my area of expertise, but you can't, as Jim says on the chat, genocide is a bit much. And the people, children, it's like collective punishment is also a war crime. So how do you, it's very upsetting, to put it mildly, to see that they've taken, it's like what we did. It's like what the Americans did. We're taking the good will of the world after September 11th and completely turning it into swill. Why? Well, that's what Republicans do. Taking the goodwill of the world and using it and exploiting it until it turns sour by their behavior. That's what they do, Republicans attacking a country that didn't attack us. Lying to the American people. Hold on. And then justifying torture, turning America into a torture nation, which was a disgrace in the long history of Republicans and conservatives disgracing us. Don't you see what they do? They can't. It's like, think about that with back when George W. Bush was squatting in the White House despite receiving fewer votes. They turned us into a torture nation. America was an idea, and it's hopefully, maybe one day will be again. The Americans, the revolutionaries who fought for independence understood that. George Washington understood that America was it's not just a country, it's an idea. It's the idea of a republic, of a self-governing nation. Now, when I was a kid and we learned American history and in the childish understanding, I didn't really get it. What's so great? I didn't understand how special that was. That a self-governing nation, how out of the norm that is. How throughout history, monarchy, autocracy has been the norm for all civilizations, for most of recorded history. And we're here in this little blip of time. This is nothing. 250 years, not even. And we're already, the conservatives are whittling away at the pillars of democracy, as they do. But every time they get control or get to dictate, and I use that word deliberately, dictate the direction of this country, they disgrace us, don't they? They really do. They, in World War II, we probably discussed this before, when America turned into a torture nation, I remember reading about how these interrogators from World War II had come out, and there was some article I read about them being upset. These were the Army intelligence interrogators that were trying to get intelligence from our German captives. I couldn't find the word. Uh-oh. Look at Boudica. She's so cute. She's going to sleep now. She knocked everything over. Now it's time to sleep. Everything's a mess. Great. Time to sleep. Okay. Okay, back to the interrogators. So I remember them saying that we were able to get more actionable intelligence out of our captives by playing chess with them than we ever would torturing them. It's something we didn't do. We didn't torture them because it was ineffective. And not only was it ineffective, it also kind of disgraced everything we're fighting for, what we're fighting to be. Republicans, conservatives, let's say, they really don't understand that we're fighting for more than just what are they fighting for? Christian, their God, their fake ass God. They're not fighting for America as much as they claim to fight for America. Oh, if like Trump says, if I'm not elected, it's going to be the end of democracy, because this is what Trump does. I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say, whatever you call me bounces off of me and sticks to you, whatever the hell that is. That's another Republican slogan. I'm rubber, you're glue. Oh, it's going to be the end of democracy. It's the end of democracy. You're the end of democracy. Republicans have always been the end of democracy. They don't like democracy. When you thinking about George W. Bush, I remember when that was going on, and it fucking sucked that of course the Supreme Court put that goddamn George Bush into the White House despite receiving fewer votes. And I remember saying to a friend of mine who was Republican, okay? I think I've talked about her before. She's gay Republican. Cuckoo. But, that's a whole other story. I'm thinking about how, like all Republicans, benefit from the policies that liberals create, but yet don't have the manners or maturity to say thanks. I'm thinking about how because I worked with this person at Court TV, and now Court TV is back, but Court TV went away back in the day. It was dissolved, and they made it into True TV. And so everyone was getting laid off, and they were like rolling out the layoffs. And my friend had worked at Court TV for many, many years, like decades. And she was very upset, and I understood. But anyway, so it took her a long time to get back on her feet. But in the meantime, she benefited. I remember talking to her because other friends of ours would try to get to the bottom of her stupidity, being a Republican and gay, of course. And we'd say, oh, because she's like, oh yeah, thank God I got Cobra. So she was able to get health care, as much as it sucked that you had to pay, of course, the for-profit insurance racket. But I'm talking about before Obamacare. You couldn't get health insurance except for at your job. Right? So if you didn't have a job, how do you get health insurance? You can't pay for it on your own. It was super expensive. And this was before it was a little less expensive, but it was still expensive, like to buy it through Cobra. And it's, whatever. So she's like, oh, thank God I have my Cobra. And I'm like, well, why do you have Cobra? And I remember her saying, like, her face, because we would always point it out. Well, you wouldn't have Cobra except for Democrats. So thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. And talking about unemployment, she was able to get unemployment and all these other benefits from being laid off. Right? She didn't have to, as much as it sucks, our social safety net here in America sucks compared to the rest of the world because we're beaten dogs waiting for a trickle. We think a trickle is enough. And we hate each other. They have us fighting each other, except like the dumb billionaires who ride us all to the bank. So you only have your unemployment insurance for a certain amount of time. Unlike in other countries, you get unemployment insurance until you get a job. You know what I'm saying? See, here they got to beat you. You got to be beaten because you don't work. You want to lazy. You're lazy. You suck. Everybody sucks here in America. We're rah, rah, rah. We all suck. But USA, USA, USA. But everybody sucks. And anyway, whatever. I'm really all over the place. Hello, Trucker John. Nice to see ya. Trucker John has entered the chat. All right, Suzanne. Suzanne has entered the chat. All right, so anyway, what was I talking about? Perjury Traitor Greene. They all suck. Hold on. What time is it? I'm keeping track of the time. Look at Buddha. She's so cute. There's so much going on. Oh my God. Where was I going? Where were we going? Who am I? What am I? We went all over the world there. So yeah, my point is, I guess, we were just discussing how Republicans don't bring anything. They don't elevate anything. They don't make us a better country. Can anybody prove me wrong? I'm serious. If there are Republicans lurking, you have any examples? And maybe your examples will enlighten me to your point of view, because I really can't understand how what you see in voting Republican. Because you want all the benefits of everything that liberals make possible, but I guess it's, the answer is coming back to me. It's coming to me. I'm answering my own question. It's really about bigotry and hate. They promise you hate. They promise you that they will never challenge you when you are tiny and hateful. You can misgender people. You could still do that. You could do that with liberals, but there'll be a reaction. You can hate as much as you want, but we have the right to have a reaction to it. So I guess that's what they get. But as we've seen, and we've shown the receipts all the time, that even the Trumpanzees want all the benefits of civilization. They want it. All the things that liberals brought to them and made possible despite conservatives standing in the way yelling stop. But they want more of it. And they've been bamboozled. That's the trick. That's the lie. That they've been used by their easily triggered and tickled racist funny bones. Republicans get right in there and they start tickling away. And these Republicans will vote for their own demise every time. Telling them that, oh yeah, you could. We would give you all of the benefits. You would have all the benefits of civilization if not for this immigrant over here that's taking it all, or these brown people, or these asylum seekers that are taking it all. See, you can't have it because liberals give it to immigrants and asylum seekers, which is it's a lie. That's absolute bullshit. Yeah, liberals don't treat human beings like animals, like Republicans, these great Christian Republicans want to do, and they do it proudly. I'm sure we all saw the clip of Trump. That's what he's running on, He's running on hate, as usual. He's got nothing else. Hate and him being a victim. Help me. I mean, he's not running for the rest of us. He's running for him, of course. That's the only reason he's running, is to escape the consequences for his life of crime. And he's running to get everybody to pay his bills. That's what he's doing. I mean, you got to be dumb to not understand that and see that. But yeah, he's running on hate, though. That's what he has for the Republicans. He's doubling down, tripling down, calling people animals. And when they say, oh, well, these are Nazi words, this is right out of Hitler's, it's not even the playbook, it's right out of his mouth. You're taking the words right out of Hitler's mouth and regurgitating it. And he's like, Hitler had some good ideas. So, that's what that's your grand bargain, right? Republicans. And all the while, waving your flags. Oh, they're so upset when they somebody says, I just saw some, well, you know what, we'll play the clip of this. The other thing we want to talk about is this libs of TikTok dum-dum who they use these obscure examples. We'll play the video in a minute, but once I get through this Perjury Traitor Greene thing. But she's at this Republican event, and they're like, give us some examples. And she's saying things like, this kid in Indiana got in trouble for flying the flag. Now, of course, nobody knows the context. But all we hear is, you can't fly the flag. God forbid. I don't know. We don't know the story. We don't know what happened. You don't know the full thing. Of course, there's always the rest of the story, But Republicans will take some headline, and that's all they need is a headline. They don't read the context. They don't put it in context. Oh, this country's going crazy. It's woke. Somebody couldn't fly a flag? My ass couldn't fly a flag. Maybe he was flying it in somebody's face. Maybe it was a safety issue. We don't know. He couldn't fly the flag. What does your flag stand for, though? What does it stand for? Hate, bigotry, division, keeping people in their place, ensuring that others can't live their own authentic lives. They hate freedom. Anyway, that's why they hate God. They talk about God. Give me a break. Just like patriotism, they use God as a cudgel. Yes. Oh, I see. Robin has entered the chat, and Commander Bond has entered the chat. Commander Bond and Errol Thomas Nice to see everybody. Tarabuster, I got my mom to be one. I'll put Tara podcast on. Oh, very nice. That's great. I put Tara podcast on when I'm driving her somewhere. She says Trump and Z and Republicans now. That is great. Say hi to your mom. What's her name? And I'll give her a shout out. Commander Bond's mom. It's so great to hear. I hope she's not mad when I curse like some moms are. Some moms. A friend of mine who's older. I mean, I'm not young, you know. But in my mind, I'm young. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, holy shit, I'm not young. But anyway, and then I think, wow, I'm not young. How'd that happen? But we can all relate to that. Especially then you go places like I'll take my cat to the vet or something, and like when did they start hiring fucking 14-year-old vets? Everybody looks so young. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. What are you gonna do? Yes, and a friend of mine who's older, she's in her 70s. She's like a mom to me. And she listened to my show and she says, you have to stop cursing. So, I don't know. I've been trying to stop since I was probably about 8. I'm not even kidding. I told you the stories. My mother washed my mouth out with soap. She wanted, I don't know. It's a bad habit I got into when I was a child. Playing baseball in the schoolyard back in Staten Island. Back in the days. And my mother, everything would echo in the schoolyard, and I would hit the ball or whatever. We were playing baseball in the schoolyard, and I'm like cursing, like, Mother, hey, that's bullshit. That was safe. All that. And my mother said, if I hear you cursing anymore, I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap. And then I told everybody that what my mother had threatened. And then the next time we were in the schoolyard, I'm like, yeah, that was bullshit. That was out. Or whatever. I was safe or whatever. Bullshit. And my mother, all of a sudden, time stood still because I heard her, Tara, like calling my name from the porch. I could see her up the block. I was like, do 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 do. And she frickin' washed my mouth out with soap. So, I'm sorry, Mama. I didn't mean to treat you bad, but I'm cleaning out my closet on my podcast. All right. Robin, 10 years ago or so, we had an earthquake. Suddenly the chair was wiggling, and my kitty and I are going, what? Is this an earthquake? It was a fracking quake started in VA. A fracking quake. I thought you were saying effing, like cursing. A fracking quake. Wow. In Virginia, yes. We were talking about the earthquake this morning. I think I was talking about it. Yes, it was a pretty impressive earthquake, I have to say. I was never in an earthquake before like that. I've heard I was in earthquakes because I would wake up. I think, it's not like it's never happened here, earthquakes, but not like this, not to that magnitude. I sound like Liza Minnelli? Well, thank you. I guess that's a compliment. When I sing, you're cleaning out your closet. That's true. I could be. What's that other? Going around the rink. The rink. Because what's her name? Cheetah Rivera just died. Okay. We'll get back in the game. Where were we? Perjury Traitor Greene. Oh my God. How talking about what did we do to deserve this? She's another one. That's the problem here in this country. How You love this country? How dare you send the worst people on the planet to represent this country? I mean, at least get somebody who's kind. Get somebody nice. Get somebody who wants to help. And you know how you can tell they want to help? They help. Things improve. They don't go, it's not madness, right? There's not more starving. There's not, well, let's say refrigerated morgues on the street and during a pandemic because the so-called commander-in-chief, he likes to salute and play the commander-in-chief, but he doesn't want to do anything. He's a real follower. That's the thing, because he heard that the right-wingers don't like vaccinations. They don't like putting cloth on their face to save a fellow American. They wouldn't, think about that. They wouldn't put a little piece of cloth on their stupid mouths to save, if it might save somebody. Right? That's how Christian they are. Jesus died for me. Yeah, your so-called savior that you pretend to worship died on a cross for you. One of the most horrific forms of executions the Romans could ever devise. But you wouldn't put a stupid piece of cloth on your face for anyone to save a granny, some kid maybe. Save someone else, another American, some pain. Right? That they have to live now. How many people have to go through holidays alone? Because Republicans wouldn't put a piece of cloth on their friggin' faces. Yeah, are you better off than you were? Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? You better believe it, boobies, Trumpanzees. You better believe you're better off? Oh, they don't think they're better off because they don't like, genders. I'm so sick of everything. This is like fake outrage after fake outrage after fake outrage. That's how we can measure time here in America. You can set your clock by the fake outrage. I've talked about this before, how I should write a book or at least an article on every fake outrage that we've had to endure as a society, as Americans, right? From death panels that never materialize. All of these fake outrage. The fake outrage never happens. So they have to make it up. What else? Death panels, gay marriage, people would marry their pets. That never happened. It's always... Oh, I have a cold, so... Okay. It's okay. I'm tired. What can you say? Yes. She will be extinct one day. That is true. MTG is related to a T-Rex. Right. You're right. Because she has those... And that's what I like, actually, with Biden, because they said... he was saying... he's leaning into the old thing. Everybody's calling him old. Is he too old? I don't care if he's old. Who cares? He's got the wisdom of experience. There's nothing wrong with that. He knows what he's doing. He's got these jokers' numbers. He's old? Good. I hope he holds on for at least another 4 years or more, and so he could see how his policies have helped people. And they already have. Even though the Republicans and the conservatives, these fake-ass, these unfit, so-called illegitimate Supreme Court... not so-called. They are illegitimate Supreme Court justices, so-called justices, standing in the way of the student loan reform, because they want everyone to be an indentured servant to the banks. There's never been a kiss up, kick down policy that they haven't tried to entrench and make better and balloon, I should say, and inflict upon us. They've never. Give me one example of the illegitimate Supreme Court, this conservative Supreme Court, helping the little guy. You can't find one. Isn't that funny in this world? How whenever a case gets in front of this Roberts Court, this Republican, well, I mean, before it became this shithole with Justice I Like Beer and the Amy Coney handmaid, the real unfit, unethical, horrible, without decency, without honor justices, these clowns squatting in their cushy jobs. You want to talk about the social safety net hammock? Look at them hanging around in the social safety net hammock of this cushy lifetime job that we will have to pay for years to come. Okay, where is this? Perjury Traitor Greene. Oh, here we go. In the long list of Republicans and conservatives. Why isn't this fucking loading? It's so annoying. Blaming everything. I mean, on God. God is mad. There's an earthquake. What are you? Are you a freaking Neanderthal for real? Perjury Traitor Greene, because that's what they used to think. I'm sure we have some evidence of. I mean, what these poor Neanderthals thought. If they encountered an earthquake, they didn't think they didn't know nothing about tectonic plates. They thought God was mad. They thought that 2,000 years ago. But we know better. But these were people that didn't know where the sun went at night. They thought somebody was carrying it into the Netherlands or into the underworld and keeping it in a little box. These are people that didn't know what a germ was. So, it's the wrath of God. What kind of God sends an earthquake? If he's such a God, why don't you just tell me what his frickin' problem is? Just lay it out. What, you gotta guess? That's how we know there is no God. Because we have to endure people like Perjury Traitor Greene trying to speak for it. You think if there was a God, he would send her as his spokesmodel? Get out of here. Oh, right. Oh, my God. I can't believe it. That's the end of the Progressive Voices part of the show. But you can come over to youtube.com/CFA channel for more show. And we're going to talk about a lot of fun things right now. Chaya, whatever, libs of TikTok. She's having her woke, her moment of being able to not define woke like a moron. Okay, whatever. Thank you, Charlie, from APS Radio News, for keeping the show going and growing. We stick together, we win. I'll see you soon. Damn, kid, I couldn't get the words out of my mouth. Let's do that. God. Let's do that Chaya. What's her last name? I can never say that name. Chaya Raichik. F her. F her. Oh my God, these people. But before we get there, it's all too common. Let's not forget this, okay? In times of crisis and tragedy, it is unfortunately all too common, and that's what we can say about Republicans. They are all too common for conservative politicians, and so-called evangelical, so-called Christian, so-called leaders to turn to their standby of God's judgment. Remember, COVID-19, that was God's judgment. Natural disasters, other calamities. They used to say the AIDS crisis was God's judgment. I remember when I was young, and AIDS, there was no cure for AIDS yet. And I remember talking to somebody saying, well, if God is judging, if that's God's judgment on gays, then he must think that lesbians are the pinnacle. It's like not just Sheldon Adelson, Harlan Crow with Uncle Clarence Thomas. You know, lesbians must be God's most precious creatures, because the cases of AIDS or HIV in lesbians is lower than it is in heterosexual couples. So, wow. How do you explain that? God loves lesbians more than anybody else on the whole planet. Weird. But of course, it doesn't have to make sense. They never had an answer for that. Because that would be a fact that they would simply dismiss out of hand, like everything that Trump is. When he opens his filthy mouth and the lies and the flies come out, all they hear is beautiful music or something. I don't know what they hear. You know what they hear? What is it? Let me think about this. I've had a lot of therapy, so I understand people. Unfortunately, it's a curse. Sometimes I can understand them. I put myself in their shoes. I think, what are they thinking? And you get to the root of it. Like with Ethan Schmidt, for example, we knew right off the bat he's a closet case, and then of course it came out. He had a Grindr account. I haven't heard from him in a while. We haven't heard him talking about gays and knocking over displays of rainbows. This is what they do. You see how useless they are? Get a hobby. You know, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to want to do it. Just do it. You know, the saying, bring your ass and the mind will follow. That is actually true. I know this from experience because you guys know I'm in recovery. I know what it's like. You know, to have your mind say one thing and you do the right thing anyway. So you don't have to feel like going and helping people. Like go feed the hungry instead of, I don't know, going to Target and knocking over rainbow displays. Go to your local soup kitchen. And even though when you're there helping people, you might be thinking, I should be knocking over a rainbow display right now. That would really help this world. Keep on dishing out the food to the less fortunate. You'll see how things will change. Maybe one day you won't be as stupid. You won't put your socialist security money into Trump bucks and then go to the bank and try to turn them in and find out that you've been scammed again. Right? Just do it. Go. And if you don't want to do people, if you don't like people, go help some animals. Sometimes when I was feeling depressed years ago, when I was first getting clean and sober, I would go and volunteer at the animal shelter near in my community and take the dogs out for a walk. Because they need to get out, stretch their legs, get out of the cage, give them some reprieve. Treat them like dogs, let them run, let them hang out with other dogs. And you feel better in general when you get, whatever. How does it make you feel good? Knocking over rainbow displays. What the hell is wrong with these people? If that your God, I mean, their God is very, very tedious and very small, right? They have a very small God. He knows all the mystery. Of course, it's a he, right? Please. He knows everything. He knows the mysteries of the universe. He knows every hair on your head. And all he cares about is don't touch your pee-pee. He knows it all. But he'll send an earthquake for some unknown reason. We have to go ask Perjury Traitor Greene what God's thinking. Now, this is a woman who thinks that Jewish space lasers cause wildfires. So let's get her to interpret something that is a natural disaster. Come on, lady. Don't they have any shame? Right? They have no embarrassment, right? Like, shame is a necessary feeling that Mother Nature put in human beings, that when we do something, we feel shame. We do something that others, because we are interdependent, and Mother Nature made us that way. That's why we have our feelings. So when we do something that might hurt somebody, or doesn't go on, like when Perjury Traitor Greene says that the earthquake is caused by God's wrath. She should be ashamed of herself. When the feedback, other human beings give her the feedback that, you're an idiot. Stop embarrassing yourself. You change that behavior. So, but she actually said it. And, here's a woman who I keep hearing how Christian she is, of course, but like the rest of them, I never, ever see it. I wish one day that would be very interesting to see, to not have to hear it, but to see it, right? Because I do wish they were Christian. Because then maybe they'd have compassion. They'd want a fair election. They'd want to live in a society, a diverse society that promotes the general welfare and not just the welfare of their orange messiah and a handful of billionaires who hate this country and hate just about everybody in it. The worst people, they supposedly love Jesus so much, and the worst people, right? Here's this guy, Jesus, who gave out free healthcare, hung around telling people that give all your money to the poor and follow me, that yours is the kingdom of heaven, turn the other cheek, all these things that they never do. So they love this guy who is everything they hate, and Donald Trump, and a greed-centered ghoul who is a rapist, is a horrible person, who kicks down and kisses up like nobody's ever seen. Please. I know he likes to say that, like no one's ever seen. Like, no, who's a liar. Everything about him is irredeemable. A glutton, a liar. We were even talking with, when I was talking to Robin earlier about the earthquake, And Robin said something about Trump. I'm surprised that one of Trump's tacky buildings didn't come crumbling down. And I'm surprised too, because he built his buildings not to code, but to he put in shoddy materials. I know you will be very surprised about this. You'll be very surprised to hear that instead of using steel in some of the buildings, he used concrete, where the standards and the regulations say he should use steel. But after it was discovered, it was too late. So those who live in those apartments, maybe one day, it's not going to happen in our lifetime, but those buildings will come down one day. And oh, well, we'll all be long gone. But that's all he cares about. He'll be dead. What does he care? But use concrete. Who cares if we have to build these buildings to a code that will stand the test of time? Not me. I need that money. You got $20? It's like, forget the Pantheon, right? The Pantheon's been standing for 2,000 years. I don't think Trump Tower is going to match it. But, yeah, perjury. God is sending America strong signs to tell us to repent. Earthquakes and eclipses. How many more things to come? I pray our country listens. How dare you? How dare you? Why don't you give up your whatever the hell you do in the House of Representatives, I know, your podcast, and go and devote your life to contemplating your navel in some nunnery somewhere. You pray our country listens. What's the problem? You know what the problem is? They think it's that people are woke. We're too woke. Like that Jesus, he was woke. When he was woke, that's why they crucified the conservatives. They couldn't stand it. Not only was he getting in way of their money by telling people, we were talking about this the other day, the last show, because it was Easter coming up. He was telling those who came to I guess, where was he crucified? I don't remember. That people didn't need to pay money for the ritual bath. That's part of why they crucified him. And then the local conservative religious authorities went to the governor of the town, Pontius Pilate, from the Roman authorities, and said, "We get rid of this guy. He's cutting in on our racket." But anyway, all right. So, yeah, woke. That's their problem. Everything, they love Jesus, though, right? It doesn't make, everything is opposite day. I might take them seriously if they worshipped not an ancient socialist hippie who told people to, give up all their money, and that the rich would have an easier time going through the eye of a needle than getting into heaven. Yeah, but we understand eclipses and earthquakes, Perjury Traitor Greene. This isn't the demon-haunted world of your daily existence. It's as much as they want to make it that way. See, that's the problem. Yes, Galilee. Thank you, Jim. So I think it's Galilee. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? So, yeah, that's the thing. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Everything's frozen. No, it's coming back. Yes. All right. So they hate everything that, I don't know, whatever. What was I saying? They hate America just like they hate Jesus. Okay, so I have the receipts. I'm sorry. I'm not just saying that. In case you missed it, Chaya, whatever her name, this horrible person, another horrible person. who hates Jesus. Well, she's Jewish, doesn't matter. But she's a Nazi. She's like like Stephen Miller, the Nazi Jew. She's the same way, except she wants trans people, gay people. I don't know what it is with her. We'll find out. She might be gay. Probably. She's, it's one of the telltale signs is the homophobia. She might be trans. We don't know. And I firmly believe, we've talked about this, that Alex Jones is trans. I firmly believe that if all trans people who were in the closet, let's say, turned purple, he would look like a Teletubby. That is for sure. But anyway, we won't know until that day. Hopefully it happens. So anyway, Chaya Raichik, she's the libs of TikTok bitch who likes to post like James O'Keefe. They take shit out of context. They lie. They conflate. They try to fit the facts around the policy, as all Republicans do, to suit their agenda. And this woman, or I don't know, a horrible person, is a rising star. She was outed, or first she was an undercover asshole, and then I don't know. They found out who she was, and she became a known personality in the right-wing cesspool. And in the cesspool, the competition for the worst is very steep. Is a stiff competition for the worst. They're all the worst. So she was invited to some friggin' Republican club. Chaya Raichik, the creator of the far-right extreme Libs of TikTok hate account, and that's what it is. It just spreads hate. In fact, after that child, Nex, the trans child, was bullied, and I think they killed themselves. Is that what happened? I don't remember the whole story now. This Chaya Raichik bitch posted a picture of herself, or maybe it was she changed her profile, whatever, on her account. She put a picture of herself with holding up a printout of an article that said hate crimes increase when libs of TikTok posts. So, and there she is holding it with a big shit-eating grin on her face. 'Cause that's what you do when you really love America, everyone. You like to stir up hate crimes against your fellow Americans instead of understanding. Now, what she could do if she really loved this country is, why don't you shut your mouth, Chaya? Stop being a hateful monster. But I guess it's too lucrative for her now. This is a career. Like Ted Cruz has his podcast. It's all about hate. It's all about who's on the out, who's on the in. And of course, it's all them. They're on the in. The white people, not all of the Borg. They're not as cool as the Borg, but they're certainly as, they're all one. They're a cult of one mind, who don't step out of the parameters that they've set for each other. That's why they all have to have all their stupid Trump paraphernalia, and they all think the same thing, and they live in a very sick world. As sick as their minds are sick, and the world they live in is very scary. Everyone is, think about the world that they live in. Everyone is trying to take from them, get one over on them. Oh, everything is a conspiracy. We're just trying to get through the day. That's why I never understood, there's no conspiracies. Maybe some conspiracies, but not with the way they're talking about it. Everything is a conspiracy. Like stealing an election from this fucking baboon, which it wasn't stolen. He never won. He didn't win the first time. He's just not man enough to admit it. And you're dumb enough to believe it, I guess, because they want to believe it. Just like they want to believe they're Christians, despite defying the explicit and expressed orders of the Savior they pretend to worship. It's unfathomable how they could square that circle. So she went to Libs of TikTok, spoke at Indiana University on Monday, where she struggled to articulate the things she rails against. Just like, remember that Bethany Mandel woman who wrote an entire book about woke, how being woke is the worst thing that ever happened to America since what? Since the Progressive Era? Since the New Deal? Since Socialist Security and Medicare? What? Since the interstate highway system? It's the worst thing that ever happened since the 90% top marginal tax rate? Yeah, so it's the worst, because the last thing you want to do in a country, a nation of immigrants, a diverse country, a country founded on Enlightenment principles of not a monarchy, not an intergenerational aristocracy, but the last thing you want to do is understand your fellow Americans, or at least be decent to them. Woke that's their of course they have really exhausted the word. It's lost all meaning. But the point is, they've never defined it anyway. It means whatever they want it to mean. It really means black, gay. It's the N-word. Wink, wink. We hate them. They're the N-word. They're gay. They're trans. It's like they point to their Sky Spook and hide behind the Sky Spook for their hate. Oh, well, it's not me hating. It's God tells me to hate. Well, it's not me. It's this woke. This woke is ruining us. No, everybody's evolving. That's the thing. Human beings keep evolving without Republicans, without conservatives. People realize, no, you know what? Who cares if you want to form a legal marriage contract with somebody who has the same pee-pee as you? Who cares? That's your life to live, right? Don't we love freedom? Oh, they can't handle that. Same thing with trans people. There's an understanding, and we evolve. Oh, your gender identity is in your brain. We know that. It's not in your body. It's not in your pee-pee. And just like some people are born needing goddamn glasses, some kind of other medical intervention, we've come to an understanding as we evolve as a human species that we learn more that the human experience isn't so small. It's not as small as the Republicans would like us to be, as conservatives are. And isn't it up to us? I mean, this is what I don't understand about Republicans, especially with trans people. When someone says, they're trans, what is it your business besides the point? But why don't you have any compassion? Oh, what do they say? They're mentally ill. Because their brain doesn't match their pee-pee. It's not a mental illness. The illness is that they're in the wrong body. And whatever that, whatever their path, whatever their their experience is. It's not up to you to tell them what their experience is. And maybe they're not quite figuring it all out. I mean, life is complex. Let people alone. Let them have their process. Get your filthy conservative Republican nose out of a family's business with their child. The arrogance of these people is beyond. That's the other thing. It's the whole even Perjury Traitor Greene saying God wants us to repent. Who the fuck are you? You speak for God? You small, tiny woman? You're such a tiny, small person. Nothing against, small people, little people, for real. Your world is small. Who are you? And that's what I always thought about these religions of the book too. That's why I don't practice Catholicism. I was raised Catholic, like nobody's ever seen. And I mean, how small? Your God has a penis. Woo. And only men can come close to the divine. Such bullshit. But in any case, they know what God looks like. That's what I always found to be the most ridiculous part of it. Like, you think you know what God knows? You know the mysteries of the universe. You're the one telling us what God wants us to hear. All right, Perjury Traitor Greene, this bitch who can't not cheat on her husband, who can't not lie after taking an oath on the stand, right? Who, on her third day in office, had to beg for a pardon after 3 days taking an oath to the Constitution, begged for a pardon because she was engaged in seditious conspiracy against this country. But we're going to turn to you, Perjury Traitor Greene, for the interpretation of what the giant man on a cloud who knows all the mysteries of the universe, who knows time immemorial, beginning and end, Alpha and Omega. You know it too. You're going to interpret for that being, that superhuman being. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, and he likes God. He's very small. And he likes when you, don't masturbate. But Perjury Traitor Greene can get it on with a tantric sex guru cheating on her husband. In fact, in the article written about her after she became a goddamn politician, lying, of course, she lied that she was a businesswoman. No, her family has a business, and she was on the family dole. And they put her name on their business documents only around 10 months before she filed to run. Because she had to have what are you going to do? What do you do all day? I'm a businesswoman. No, you're not. You're a parasite, like Trump. You just take and take and take. Your family, whatever, they have money, so they're giving you money. You're a kept woman. You're like Uncle Clarence. He's a kept pet of Harlan Crow. So they put her name on it, and she's like, I'm a businesswoman who goes to the gym every single day for 8 hours. And that's what the people they interviewed said. Well, I could only go, I went to the gym in the morning, but I couldn't stay there all day because I had to go to work. That was her job. She went to the gym. She did CrossFit every day, and she had sex with men who weren't her husbands. It was her little, her her little whatever, her playground where she worked out all her manias and pretended to be Christian, I guess. I don't know. But this is who they are. They're all horrible. And if we remember Bethany Mandel, who wrote a book on woke, she was asked about, well, what is woke? Here, let's play this.
Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we talk about traditional,
what does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
It's incredible.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that
what? Oopsie. Boopy.
This is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it.
We spent an entire chapter. It is sort of the
understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, take your time.
Take your time. Take your time. Well, take your time. I'm trying to. What is the other one? I was trying to find that. Wah, wah, wah. I couldn't find it. So I was just pressing any. Oh, how about this? No. I mean, that's the gong. Doesn't really sound like the Gong Show, though. I gotta get some more better things here. Thingity thing. Anyway, so Chaya Raichik did the same thing. She was speaking at this Republican club. That's what they do, because this is what happens all over the country. Young people are liberal for the most part, where the generations coming up now are the most liberal generations in American history, thank God. Thank the Sky Spook. And but they have there are some Republican clubs. I'm trying to get my camera back. And what they do is they invite horrible people to speak to them, because they don't have enough horrible things surrounding them. They're not ingesting enough horrible people. Like the points of view. They watching Trump. It's not they can't get enough horrible around them to feel better. I guess that's what it's about, because they're so horrible inside and they hate themselves somehow. They really do need therapy. That's why another reason I'm for universal health care, because I really would like them to get the help they need and stop inflicting their manias on the world and stop inflicting it outwards. So the world would be a better place. If we all worked on ourselves a little bit. They should work on themselves, but they won't, because that takes courage. And you might have to, I don't know, change a little, or you can't, I don't know, maybe you might stand up for yourself and be like, you know what, this Donald Trump is an asshole. But you can't do that because you don't want to be thrown out of your cult. Anyway, so Chaya Raichik, she was invited to the Young Republicans. That's actually a thing, people. Young Republicans. I'm getting on these. I'm getting into the sound effects. Yeah. Young Republicans, and they invited her to speak, and of course some people were there to protest her. In fact, that's what I was saying. So they said one of the protesters was chanting something about necks. How many kids did you kill today? Or something like that. And you're saying that to her, and I understand why you're doing it. These are young people, but they're as if she cares. She likes killing people. She's the one that posts pictures of herself saying, every time I post, people die. So you're not going to get through to her. All right. Well, you know what? I don't know. This is the end of the show. It's not the end. We're going to do this segment, even though I'm running on fumes. I don't know why. I need to tighten it up in this bitch. I got to tighten it up. Tighten the show. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you, Charlie from APS Radio News, for keeping the show going and growing with your donations to the show, and Boudica and the community cats. We're on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We stick together. We win. My name is Tara Devlin. I'll see you soon. Become a patron at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. Boom. I don't know. We don't really need that. That music there. But it doesn't. It's for me to cut the show with. All right. Where are we? Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't you? I'm taking a tangent. I see you. Okay, good. We'll go another 10 minutes. How's that? Is that okay? If I can only get to the point, right? I'm like Rachel Maddow. That's why sometimes I get annoyed at Rachel Maddow watching her show, because she I do the same thing probably, because she drags everything out. I do the same fucking thing. Well, that's probably why it annoys me. You know what I'm saying. She says the same thing over and over. But I say it over and over, but in different parts. She says it in the same sentence. She'll say the same thing over and over. Stephen Michaels, nice to see you. You think it's the end, but it's not. It's just another 10 more minutes. Okay, where were we? I'm trying to get to the point here with this Chaya bitch. So she's at this young Republican meeting of very terrible people who they're confused. Some of them might wake up. Maybe they'll get a girlfriend who's not an asshole, or a boyfriend or something like that, and they'll be like, "Why are you such a dick?" And maybe they'll be like, they'll start looking at themselves. Who knows? They're still young. They have hope. They have hope. But the other young people, I won't say most, but there were a fair amount of young people that were there to challenge this dumb bitch, and ask her questions. And one of them, this is why I hate this woman. She's really the worst. And she was very upset because, well, not very upset, but she said, "What's so funny?" Well, I guess one of them was laughing at her, like, because she's ridiculous. And he's the one that asked her, "Well, can you define woke?" This has to be a thing now. Everyone needs to ask them to define woke. Here we go.
Country. It's the greatest country in the history of the world.
Oh, wait. It's the greatest. This is the beginning. When some of these people are being escorted off the property and trespassed for standing up to this hate-mongering fool. All right, here we go.
So, do you have a question? Is there something funny?
Is there something funny? You have a question? Is there something funny? She's easily triggered. Everyone's picking her. She's the one that coined the phrase cry bully. But she bullies everybody, right? If anybody challenges her, you're bullying her. But she can dox you. She can spread lies about you. And of course, a blanket hatred of the groups that especially, the gay and the trans people, she hates the most. Because it's all about the children, Well, the children need to be as hateful and horrible as she is. And forget gay children or trans children. They need to be bullied, and they need to, I guess, simply commit suicide in her world, right? That's the world she's comfortable in. The world of misunderstanding, the world of division, the world of scapegoating and who's in the minority group du jour to blame everything on and kick down on. God help us. You see, Republicans can't get their ultimate end of destroying democracy if we are unified. If we see through them, then it's like they disappear. They have no power. It's like they've been dividing us forever. That's always been the way. That the elites and their mouthpieces and anybody that wants to keep people, divided and down and at each other's throats, that's what they do. They just tickle all the fissures of disunity and difference. There's no understanding. They think diversity is a dirty word, even though this is a diverse nation of immigrants. I mean, talk about self-loathing. You see, that's why they want to destroy democracy, because we're everything that they hate. They hate compromise and unity and understanding and progress, education, art, openness, compassion. These things that are anathema to them. They want division, hierarchy, the out-group, in-group, out-group. It's amazing. Democracy? My God. Multiracial, liberal democracy? They can't stand it that we're a nation of immigrants. And we've talked about this, that when Trump, that asshole who squatted in the White House despite receiving fewer votes, one of the first things they did in the Immigration and Naturalization Service was take out the words, the United States is a nation of immigrants, in the mission statement of the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Can you believe that? So that's a point of pride if you're a patriot. The United States is a nation of immigrants. We are, unless you're a Native American. And it used to be a point of pride that we're such a great country. We attract the world. The world wants to come here and want to live here, but not anymore, thanks to them. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
How do you define wokeness?
Wokeness is the destruction of normalcy and
That's painful.
How would you
I think it's also anti-Americanism.
He jumps in. He's got to rescue her. It's the destruction of normalcy and it's also anti-Americanism. It's super duper califragilisticexpialidocious. Also, if you ask me, I can define it. You see, I'm very articulate. It is anti-smelly and visual cues. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. If you're feeling quite atrocious, that's what it is. It makes no sense. It is everything. Everything we want to destroy or hate, or it's our touchstone. Why we get out of bed. Anti-woke. Actually, I don't even know. It's the new PC. You know, PC was their thing at one time. That's too PC. Because they want to call people the N-word. It's like they have Tourette's. They have, which is a disorder, but they have it to the soul. They have a soul sickness kind of Tourette's where they want to scream the N-word or all kind. They think they're being put upon when they can't be mean to other people or be. They don't want to learn. They don't want to They like it when the world was very definable and defined by, and I mean by white people. When white people put their ill-informed and malinformed definitions on things, that's what they like, like where everything was, where other cultures and whatnot, they were all scapegoated and boiled down to simplistic things that they could easily digest. But the world is a bit more complex than that. So, but that's very scary, and they want everybody to be as scared as they are. So we ask a big daddy, con man, rapist, tax cheating, draft dodging, wannabe dictator con man to be or grifter con man. I said a couple times. Yeah, that's how much of a grifter he is. But we're as small and frightened as they are, so we beg the lifelong parasite con man, who played a successful businessman on reality television, to save us and rule us. Save us from the scary people who don't know their place. Save us from the woke. Woke meaning that you have the self what do you call it? Assuredness, self-esteem, that you're not afraid to come out of the closet. That's woke. They don't like that. That's too tempting. That you have the courage to live an authentic life in spite of the consequences, in spite of them. In spite of their hate, they're doing all that they can to put you back in your place. Like women, everyone that doesn't fit into their ancient book of whatever, mysteries, fables. It's not just their Bible. They still, I can't even tell you where I have this video of these, I don't know, I have so many videos, but one of them is the corporate media, of course, sticking a microphone in people's, Republicans' faces. What do you think? Who are you voting for? Who cares? Why do you like Trump? What do you think? And they're like, this is during Nikki Haley. Yeah, when she was still in the running or in the race or whatever, and some man said that, he's like, I would never vote for a woman. Yeah, I don't believe that women should be in power in any way. But he's not alone. They're all, not all, but even their leaders, so-called, Charlie Kirk, like all these assholes, these horrible fuckers, they say the same thing. The world, even, what's her face? Ann Coulter, the worst thing that happened to America is that women got the right to vote. She's not alone in saying that. They're still saying this. But this is a very backward party. They've always been. Now they have entirely too much power. That's the problem. And whatever they try to wrap it in, it's all the same, right? Whatever veneer, whatever they put around it, like wokeness, PC, whatever the term that they ascribe to their manias nowadays. It changes over time. But they like to give their manias the veneer of legitimacy, and as if it's actually something to, that they make it our problem. But it's really their problem. Our problem happens when we listen to them. Oh, you're woke. What? Well, yeah. Yeah, because that's a good thing. And that's the nature of humanity. That's the trajectory of the human existence, the human experience. You're born, you're a baby, and you learn things. You grow up. Things change. You absorb new information. You change. And same thing happens to humans as a species. We crawled out of the ooze. We don't do things that we used to, like when the Romans were decimated, when Hannibal, the Battle of Cannae, when he won the Battle of Cannae against all odds, or Cannae, some people pronounce it like that, and against all odds, he destroyed the Roman army. I think 65,000 Romans were massacred in one day in that battle. I mean, more than were killed in the entire length of the Vietnam War in one day. Well, what did the Romans said? Well, the gods must be really pissed at us. So what do we do? Oh, it must be because one of the Vestal virgins is not a virgin. She had sex. So let's bury her in this hole here, and she'll have to just die. Bury her alive in a hole, and she'll starve to death. I guess, she'll probably succumb to her thirst first, but what a horrible death. And that will appease the gods. Well, we don't do that anymore. We learned some things along the way. So, but that have the Republicans learned? We're still hearing them. We're still hearing that freaking din of superstition of their God. Gee, I loved them on Easter, though, didn't you? First of all, they're all like, he is risen. And then they're like, Joe Biden has nerve, trans day of visibility. He made Easter trans day of visibility. And isn't it a terrible, terrible slight against Jesus, how the White House said that you can't put religious symbols on the Easter eggs? Joe Biden must hate God, even though that's something that's been going on for 50 years. In fact, the same dictum or same parameters in the goddamn Trump White House Easter egg rolls. Yeah, but no, selective outrage, selective everything. Selective... I wouldn't say selective stupidity, because the whole thing is damn stupid. Okay, well, listen, here's some more. So this guy has to jump in and say, you see her, she's like, help me out here. Woke is... it is... What is it? It's a destruction of normalcy. What is normal? Is it normal to be a horrible, hateful thing? Is it normal? Do you find that normal? She must be a very sad and miserable person. And, I could say that I don't know her, but know her by her fruits. Nobody who's happy and content and self-assured and all those, at peace with themselves. Nobody behaves like that who's at peace with themselves. Nobody has a hate account on Twitter who's at peace with themselves. Nobody agrees to meet with a reporter, right? That's what we talked about this on another show. And she shows up and she wore a shirt where the reporter or the not a reporter, she's a journalist, was crying because this particular reporter broke down in tears on some show that she was on. She was on one of the corporate media whatever show. They were interviewing her, and she broke down in tears because she was being harassed by right-wingers because they had doxed her and she was being harassed. And when they were talking to her about it, she cried. And this dumb bitch, because she loves normalcy, took her face of the crying journalist and wore it to the interview because she thought, I guess it would, what? it was going to throw her off her game. And in the journalist's wisdom, she didn't even mention it, of course. So this Chaya, whatever, Raichik, just looked like the asshole she is. What does she bring to the table? Oh, and then she says, oh, everybody's cry-bullying me. I'm being cry-bullied. When she's bullying people and holding up articles that say that she encourages hate crimes, and she's happy about that. How is she? I mean, really, you're not. How can you say, oh, you're happy and content? That's how you behave? You're sick. You're sick. You're hateful. And you're inflicting your manias on society. That's what it is. Get help. Get the help you are screaming for. Stop inflicting it on people who just want to get through the day. You know, they don't need you coming in with your hate, with your fucking ignorance, your stupidity, your malinformed and ill-informed, hateful opinions on somebody's life that you know nothing about. But everybody's trying to make her not be normal. It's a destruction of normalcy. What's normalcy? You know what's normalcy? Being goddamn compassionate. That's normalcy. Human. Understanding. Evolving is normalcy. That's the nature of life, and that's the nature of people, of the human race. What's not normal is going backwards. And, you know, what's not normal is knowing better and doing the opposite. You know, knowing you're hurting people. That's not normal. And then calling yourself righteous. I mean, these people are looking for the, as the old saying, who said this? The modern conservative is in the engaged in mankind's oldest pursuit, the search for the superior moral justification for selfishness. I can't remember who said that now. It's the superior moral justification for immorality, really.
Are those kids being taught that?
It's anti-American. See, it's everything. It's the destruction of normalcy. It's anti-American.
America isn't worth fighting and dying for.
Oh, that's not woke, right? That's what so that's woke too. It's the destruction of normalcy and anti-Americanism, which says that America isn't worth dying and fighting for. Now, these people have never worn the uniform of this country. I can guarantee you that. But they like saluting the flag without any understanding of what it means. They like saluting the flag while tearing the flag apart. You know, they like the symbols of patriotism while tearing apart the general welfare. That's what woke is, everybody. It's the destruction of normalcy and anti-Americanism that says that America isn't worth fighting and dying for. Who the fuck said that but you? Nobody said that. See, these people, they want to say that America isn't worth fighting and dying for, but remember, don't put a piece of cloth over your face if it could save a fellow American. Now, why would somebody die for America except to save a fellow American, right? That's why the men stormed the beaches of Normandy, so we didn't have to succumb to fascists like them, like these two, like Chaya Raichik and the rest of the Republican Party and their dear leader. But America isn't worth fighting and dying for? Is it worth putting a little stupid piece of cloth over your face. Oh, and the reason I'm saying, listen, it gets better.
America isn't worth fighting and dying for. It's a great country. It's the greatest country in the history of the world.
Listen,
I would say that
it's the
attacks on our American way of life is wokeism.
Our American way of life.
Like, Al Qaeda attacks American lives. Are they woke?
Well, maybe in some ways, but there's probably some similarities. There's probably so many similarities.
So this is seeping into everywhere. It's
Everywhere.
in our schools. Like just a couple weeks ago, the governor of Washington, he signed legislation mandating
She reminds me of
history to be taught in K-12 schools. So now these kids.
She reminds me of Christina from the Jacuzzi bath fitter. With the upspeak. She listen.
Schools in Washington are being forced to learn about like drag queens and Dylan Mulvaney and stuff.
Drag queens.
And that's obviously not something that we would see here in Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana.
Yes, you do.
I'm saying you're not going to see it being legislated into by the governor, for example, right?
Being forced to.
She's such a scintillating speaker.
So,
actually, a speech vote requires a diversity of viewpoints, which I suppose would include the teaching of.
You hear this, bitch? Yeah. I can hear the guy. Listen to him. I can't hear you for your mask. I wish somebody would say to them, "Oh, you can't hear me for my mask." You don't know why he's wearing a mask. He could have a sickness. Maybe he has a pre-existing condition. He has something. He doesn't want to get sick. And isn't that his choice? Freedom to wear a mask if he wants to wear a mask. But I wish somebody would ask them, when you talk about fighting and dying for America, the men who stormed the beaches of Normandy, they gave their lives for their fellow Americans. But would you wear a stupid piece of cloth on your face for your fellow Americans? No, because you're not patriotic. They co-opt patriotism. They have hijacked patriotism.
I can't hear you under your
I can't
mask.
hear you under your mask. I can't hear you.
Variety of viewpoints.
I can't understand.
Varieties of viewpoints. I've heard. I can hear him. I can't hear you. I see. This is how they act now, because you talk about woke. They're so triggered by anyone expecting them to be decent, but they want to shape society to their smallness. Right, exactly. Would you say you can't hear me? Wait, I would say you can hear me if you're saying you can't. Exactly. Robin on the chat. It's just, this is what they do. It's passive aggressiveness. Because I wish people would say, well, I thought you were for freedom. Am I not free to wear a mask? Well, why is that so bothersome to you? Sort of like how you're so bothered by others living their authentic lives. You can't handle it. You got to jump into people's families, people's marriage contracts. You want to tell everybody how to live, but then you don't want anyone to ever have a feeling about your horribleness. I can't hear you.
The bill requires
I can't hear you, child. What a child.
The viewpoints of LGBTQ people and their respective history.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between teaching diversity and pushing an ideology.
Oh, yeah. See, it's a big difference between teaching diversity and pushing an ideology. There is no difference. There is no difference to them. When you can't say gay, then that's, you can't win. Pushing an ideology. You see, they think you're pushing an ideology by just being alive and out and not afraid to live your authentic life in spite of people like them. These small, tiny, and horrible people. Alrighty, guys. I think we should wrap it up for now. I'll try to tighten it up. You know, I gotta tighten the show up a little. I know. I said I was only gonna do 2 hours because I only had 5 hours sleep. But now you know how it is. I gotta get. Don't worry, we're working on it. Everything's a work in progress. All right, my friends, listen, guys. I know, Robin on the chat. I wonder who's sending her talking points on her phone. She's so irritating. Her upspeak. Where is this, actually? Do I have this? Before we'll play this video. The last video before we end the show.
Is your shower trying to tell you something?
That's what she reminds me of. The way she talks.
It's time to love your shower again with
your shower?
Jacuzzi bath remodel. You can get a beautiful new bath or shower installed in 1 day.
1 day.
That's right, 1 day. And at a price you can afford. In fact, there's never been a more affordable time to call than now. With this
call? That's what she talks like that. Am I wrong? Listen. I swear. Listen.
The destruction of normality.
Is your shower trying to tell you something? It's time to love your shower again with Jacuzzi bath remodel. You can get a beautiful new bath or shower in
bath or shower?
Country's a Grace country.
So, do you have a question? Is there something funny?
I do.
Is there something funny?
Yeah, sure.
You're triggering me because you're not allowed to laugh. You're not free. We're free. We love freedom. Why are you laughing? Oh, I'm not free to laugh? What is this, Putin's Russia?
I do.
Yeah, sure.
How do you define
Jacuzzi, bath, shower. Is your shower trying to tell you something? That you're woke?
Wokeness is the destruction of normality.
Of jacuzzi, bath, showers in 1 day. Anyway, that jacuzzi, I'm sorry. Everybody probably ran for the hills listening to that. I'm sorry. No, because the jacuzzi bath shower, that is the worst commercial that was ever created. Like a rake on a chalkboard. One of the worst. And the voice. Jacuzzi, when I heard her, it adds to how irritating she is. Yeah, Christina. This is Christina? Who told Christina that she could be a spokesmodel? And why won't somebody take her aside when they're shooting the commercial and say, Christina, your upspeak is like a rake on a chalkboard. And in fact, I was so irritated listening to this commercial because they keep playing it. And I have to get the remote, run for the remote and hit mute because, and I looked it up. What is this commercial? And there's like a website dedicated to the hate of it. So I said, I am not alone in this world. I truly am not alone. Can you believe that? Jacuzzi? This is Christina? And she also has a weird, I don't know, punctuation or whatever. She sucks. She sucks. I am sure she's a nice person. But why do they keep doing many commercials with her? She not just that one. Then there's like 12 more. Who told her? Why is she in the commercial? She's not a spokesmodel. Oh, she does a remodeling show. I see. Commander Bond. What's your mother's name? Did you say in the chat and I missed it? I want to say hi, Mama. Hi, Commander Bond's mama. Thanks for hanging out and watching the show. Hanging out and listening. All right, thank you. Thank you for... Maybe I'm annoying. I don't know. I know I must annoy some people. I annoy right-wingers. But that just means I'm doing it right. Yes, she was also overdressed to sell me a shower, to be honest. True. I need somebody to redo my whole house. Can you do a bath fitter on my whole house? That'd be cool. Just make it like easily cleanable. Anyway, jacuzzi, bath shower. All right, guys, listen. Let me look at my schedule. It's hard to tell. Sometimes emergencies happen. Like this week. I need to go to sleep. I'm overtired right now. That's the problem. What fucking day is it? Oh, it's Friday. Well, let's get together. Let's hopefully get together over the... I will try... I want to do a show. I said that last week, though, and I felt like a liar. I made a liar out of me. All right. But it couldn't be helped. Listen, guys. I love you. I'm tired. So I just can say, again, to Charlie from APS Radio News, thank you for your support. And... keeping me on APS Radio News. And who's this? Tara Jr. Hello. You're my mommy. And for little Boudica, thank you for your support. Your support of the community cats. Bath fitters is fake? Pookies? Really? It sucks? I had one in my mind sometimes. I was like, maybe I'll get a bath fitter. Well, now I won't. All right, guys. I got to go to sleep. I'm tired. But remember. Oh, and thank you, patrons. Patreon.com/Tara Devlin. I swear to God, I will get the memberships on YouTube going. Thank you, Jim, for your super chat. And everyone else for your support all the time. I love you. We're on the right side of history. We will win. We will. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Thank you so much for hanging out, my friends. I love you. My name is Tara Devlin. And I'll see you. I'm going to say it. You say it, Junior. I'll see you when... Well, let's say it together. We'll see you during... Oh, and see you, Trucker John. Make sure to subscribe to Trucker John's show and to Twisted Nerves Painting show. Okay? And I will see you during the week.